Coach, last week it was Baylor spreading the field the whole way. What's unique about what Texas Tech does?
Well, they're really the same kind of a ball club, very tempo-oriented. They're one of those teams that tries to go as fast as they can. In fact, I think in some ways they might be a little faster. But they're 4 wides, 3 wides. It's a very similar football team. I think that Baylor runs the ball a little bit more than Tech does.
What are your thoughts on Ben Heaney and what you've seen from him this year? I mean, one of the top tacklers in the Big Ten.
I love Ben Heaney because he's one of the guys that really likes to play football, and he plays hard, and he's getting better. I think he's getting better every week. He doesn't have everything yet, because he's a young guy, but he loves to play the game, and that's the kind of guys we need. He's a tough guy. But he's one of the guys is going to be finishing the game the same way as he starts it.
What makes him unique compared to other linebackers that you've coached?
Well, I think that number one, he's got pretty good speed, and he's tough, and he plays so darn hard. I mean, there's some guys that are probably more talented athletically, but you can't buy the stuff that he has inside, and those are the kind of guys we need more of.
What about Jake Love? He's kind of built in that same mold, isn't he?
Yeah, I think those two guys are very similar. They're young guys, which is great. They got a chance to grow with the defense, and I'd be hard pressed to feel like somebody was going to just come in and beat those guys out, because they both play the game the way it's supposed to be played.
You guys did a heck of a job slowing Oklahoma State. Was the weather a factor? Because I know they play at that same tempo too. How much did the weather factor?
Well, I think the weather probably had something to do with it. They probably didn't throw the ball as much as they normally would have liked to. But I like to think we just played good. We've played well at home. We just haven't played well on the road. And for whatever reason, I don't know what that is. If I had the answer to that, we'd be working on it more. But I think it's a focus issue. I think our guys focus more when they're at home, and that's what we're working on this week is those kind of things.
Are all three of those, Baylor, Tech, and Oklahoma State, are they all in the same tempo category?
Yeah. I don't know that Oklahoma State tempo is quite as fast as the other two.
Okay.
Yeah, I think these two guys are warp speed.
Yeah.
They move a lot of guys in and out.
Right.
I don't think Oklahoma State was quite as movement oriented.
Okay.
From a development standpoint, what do you really hope to get out of these next 3 games?
Well, we just have to keep getting better. We have to keep working it the way we're working. I think I'd like to develop a mindset that it doesn't matter where you're playing. We can play anywhere, on the street, anywhere else. That's what we're trying to develop. We've got, 2 of the 3 are on the road. So, at this point in time, we're trying to develop. First of all, we're trying to win. That's number one. I don't ever want to get away from that. We're trying to win a game, and 2 of the 3 are on the road. So I think we can, make some strides. And Coach Weiss has changed it up a little bit this week with some of the things that we're doing. Because we're going on the road, we're not going to stand pat. Just to stand pat is not the right thing to do. You have to try to, tweak some things, and our schedule's a little bit different, and maybe that'll make a difference.
Yeah, I know, generally speaking, he brought you here because thought you could speak the same language and be on the same page. And with any rebuilding sort of projects that you've been a part of in the past, either level, is that what it takes? That stick to it,
Absolutely.
Don't deviate type of attitude?
Absolutely. I can speak, I can only really speak for one. I was only at Oregon State for 1 year. I was there for 1 year, and they went 0-11. And I moved on from there, but the Cowboys is the only one that I can associate with that was really truly a rebuilding program, and I think it was very similar because there wasn't a lot of speed on the ball club when we got there, and we just worked hard to try to it's a little bit different recruiting than signing guys, but we tried to improve the speed. Anybody that could run, honestly, the first year, it's different now because the NFL, but there were guys that came in on Thursday, played for us on Sunday, and were cut on Monday. They were guys that were on the waiver wire that could run.
Wow.
And we brought them in. They played in the game. I mean, that's the way it was. You know, they came in on Thursday, played in the game, cut on Monday.
Wow.
But it was really based on staying the course. You know, the first year we were 1-15. The second year we were actually 4-7, and we won 3 in a row. And then Aikman got hurt, and so we ended up losing the last 2, and we missed the playoffs by 1 game. If New Orleans, I think it was New Orleans, if they'd have kicked the field goal in the last ball game, missed a 48-yard field goal, we'd have been in the playoffs at 7-9, which was not the right thing to be in.
Right.
So in other words, I don't think that you can expect anything overnight, is what I'm saying. I think you have to stay the course. You know what you want to do. You know how you want to do it. I think we have a pretty good plan of doing it, and we just have to stay the course.
Is it easier to sell that message to kids or to those pros?
You know, I think you probably have the ears of these guys more than you do some of the pro guys, you know, because they're worried about the next meal, you know, the next paycheck up there, you know, some of them. And you know, you just have to have the right guys.
Right.
And we were fortunate enough to get the right guys there. Here, I think we're trying to recruit guys that have the mentality that we're trying to build on, you know, and really that's the way to do it. I mean, if you have a set of values, you know, sometimes you're able to get exactly what you want, but when you're 1-8, we may not be able to get the exact kid, but I think we can be very selective in the type of kid that we recruit to try to get the type of kid that we're looking for.
Sure.
Coach,
How would
this
you
is
define that type of kid?
I'm sorry?
How would you define that type of kid?
A kid that loves to play the game of football and you know, is very, very competitive. And I think you can find those guys. You know, not always the best athletes are as competitive as some of those guys that aren't. I mean, you look at K-State's program. I mean, you know, they've done it with guys like that. You know, they've got some guys that love to play football that were really probably not really highly recruited. It's just finding the right guys for the spot. Now, then you need a Colin Klein. You know, I mean, so there's other things involved in it, but really the bulk of your football team, I think Coach Weiss has a great feel for, you know, the type of kid we're looking for and what we want to do, and that's really the basis of the whole thing.
Coach Weiss was talking about, this is kind of an off-topic question, about some of the family members up he has in the East Coast. Do you have any friends or family members that you're trying to keep in touch with?
Yeah, my dad, you know, is still in Mystic, Connecticut, and he was very lucky. He didn't even lose any power. You know, they got some wind and stuff over there, but it really hit farther south. But that could have been a catastrophe everywhere. I mean, it's a shame in New Jersey. I mean, you know, Lower Manhattan in New Jersey and Staten Island. You know, I've got a few friends that I talk to back there that, I mean, it's not the same anymore.
You've obviously got your job here, but how difficult is it, you know, trying to work and, you know, trying to worry about what's going on back there?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you know, I think Coach Weiss talked to the team yesterday. You know, one of the things that's the responsibility of an educator, which I think we are, is to talk to our team about significant events. And he talked to the team about New Jersey, about the hurricane. You know, they just saw one of the big events in this country's history. And then he talked to them about the election. You know, one of the closest elections in the history of the United States. Those are things that you need to talk about because they're significant as an educator. You know, the sometimes kids are isolated in college and they don't, you know, they're in their little world and they don't really pay attention to everything that's going on. And Coach Weiss does a good job with that. And it's difficult sometimes. I was worried about my dad. I called him like 10 times, you know, during the course of the day as it was going on. He said, I hope we get one of these every year up here. He said, blew all my leaves into the next guy's yard. He's 95 years old. He says, you know, we need a hurricane here next year, the same intensity up here. But no, I mean, it's not funny because it really wasn't that way in the major parts.
Yeah.
You mentioned changing some things up and how you approach the road games. What's the benefit for guys of being able to do the walkthrough in the opposing stadium? What do they glean from that?
Well, you know, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Coach Weiss, first of all. You know, I mean, that's his decision on making, you know, how we're going to change the schedule and all that stuff. But really, I believe that a lot of playing on the road is a combination of playing good football teams. That's number one. But number two, it's focus. And, you know, when you work at the place, when you get down there, you know, it's just a little bit more focus on, hey, it's a ball game tomorrow, you know, and we'd kind of gone, you know, working here and then going down there and really just having a special teams meeting and going to bed. And I think he felt that we needed to do a little bit more there so that when we fly in there, it's not just fly in there, go to the hotel and go to sleep. You know, it's fly in there and really focus on what they have to do to get ready for the next day. And especially with an 11 o'clock game, I think that's probably pretty important.
Those really
One more question.
high-powered, precision-type offenses, do they have a real significant advantage at home where they're in kind of a controlled environment where they can function?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think everybody plays better at home. I think there's more of a home field advantage on the college level than there is in the pro level because I think, you know, fans, their kids are more impressionable. You know, it's more of a job, you know, when you get to the next level. These kids are still, you know, they're having a ton of fun and playing in front of their friends and all that stuff is very important to them. You know, and I think that is a factor. I don't know that for sure, but I think it is a factor. And I think when you play in front of your peers, the people that you hang out with all the time, you have an advantage. And I think that, you know, those guys know how to play in that weather up there. Here it's supposed to be windy and everything. So, I mean, you know, they know how to do it, you know, because they work at it. They work in it all the time. Guys, thanks a lot.